down the rabbit hole of rock and roll's past, present, and future. It's Barstool Rockers with your hosts, Jim Finn and Dan Michaels.
You know, we're into 2020. I cannot believe none of the TV networks or none of the big, New Year's celebrations did the obvious and tapped Barbara Walters to help him.
I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020.
There you go.
Clever.
So did you go Cheap Trick the other night?
I did not do the Treasure Island show.
Yeah.
I did not. The roads were a little iffy. We got some bad weather for a while.
Cheap Trick.
I know it's Cheap Trick. I'm going to the Xander show in about another week, though, in Lake Delton. So,
Well, that'll be a plus.
yeah. So, if I had gone to the Cheap Trick show, it would have been Cheap Trick show number 101, probably.
So do they have anything coming up in 2020 that's really big?
There is supposed to be a new album. When we talked with Rick Nielsen last time, he was talking about the new album, and I don't know what the deal is because it's supposedly pretty much done. So I don't know if they're just waiting for the perfect moment to drop it on us. The Record Store Day release, their cover version of Give Me Some Truth, was supposed to be kind of a sampling of the new album. So I don't know. We'll see. Should get something real soon.
A lot of good things coming in 2020, including a biopic from one of my all-time favorite bands, Triumph. Hence the segue.
Mike Levine with Triumph. Triumph Classics has just been re-released on beautiful 180-gram vinyl, all silver vinyl. Look at how beautiful that is. That is a beautiful thing, Mike.
It is a beautiful thing.
Back when these songs were released, originally, you guys were right up there playing in arenas alongside a lot of other great big bands of the day. What were those days like when you first started seeing success with Triumph?
Oh, God. It was, I don't know. It's like, I want to say it was a lot of hard work, because it was. But it was, there was a lot of pride that our music was reaching people and touching people. There was a whole lot of fun, because that's the only way you could survive on the road. If you can't laugh, you would have killed each other. But, you worked your ass off all day to get to the stage, right? You traveled, you checked in a hotel, you went to a radio station, did interviews, or went to 2 radio stations. You'd done press for the gig the day or 2 days before on the phone, and then finally, at 9 o'clock, you hit the stage, and that's when the fun began, and that's why you did what you did.
Well, you've always kind of referred to yourselves as the Three Musketeers in rock and roll, and recently you did a surprise 3-song performance for the fans in preparation for the documentary that's supposed to be coming out next year. How did that get received?
I don't know how to describe it. It was, it was a very emotional experience, because we didn't plan to play this whole thing the film company was putting on. And, we had to cooperate with it, obviously. It was in our place, and our people worked like hell putting it all together. But we're sitting there and going, wow, these fans are coming from faraway places. Some people came from Brazil and Hawaii and Poland or wherever. We're going like, these are like fans they're here on their own time. They won a contest, but there was no value other than they get to come to this thing. And we said, why don't we play? Because we had refused. The film company wanted us to, and we said no. But we just sat down and had a couple of drinks and said, well, let's give it a shot. So we got together and rehearsed once and said, this is really a bad idea.
And yet the footage is going to be in the documentary next year. Yeah. Now the Classics album has all of those great Triumph songs laid on the line: Magic Power, Fight the Good Fights, and a version of Never Surrender, which was recorded at the US Festival. Was that a great experience playing the festival for you guys?
Yeah, it was weird. It was such a huge show. Had a huge audience, and a huge lineup of stars. I mean, every the top 5 acts were the biggest grossing touring bands of the last couple of years, the previous 2 years. When you think about it, Van Halen, Scorpions, Triumph, Judas Priest, Ozzy. And then the new up-and-coming bands that were still playing bars in L.A., Quiet Riot and Motley Crue. So it was a hell of a lineup, so you had to be good. So anyway, we played that song. We played the shit out of it. It was like we were hotter than a pistol that day. I don't know how we did it, but we managed to play really, really well. And so I thought it would be it's nice to put it on the greatest hits because I had space to fill anyway. I thought there was nothing on side 4.
We had a chance to talk to Shawn Murphy. She's one of Clapton's backup singers, and she said when they hit the stage, when they walked out, it was like just this roar from the crowd pushed them back. Did you guys get that same sensation?
Yes and no. I was there when they played. It was maybe half as many people as were there when we played. But it was like just what scared me, actually. I got a little scared because you're from the stage, you couldn't see the end of the people, right? It just went on forever, kind of like right to the horizon. You couldn't not see anything beyond the people because there wasn't anything there, I guess. But it was really a weird experience initially, and then you got used to it.
Well, Dan and I are both fans of Triumph, so we're grateful that we're able to talk with you today. But we want to know, and we're also junkies as far as music documentaries go, too. So can you tell us when we can look forward to the upcoming documentary?
There was a call, actually, I was on yesterday with the film company that's doing it, Banger Films, and they're anticipating having it ready to go and in theaters, so to speak, or somewhere first week of December, kind of.
Oh, that'll be good. We get Star Wars this year. We get a Triumph documentary next year. I can't ask for more, I guess, in life. That's good.
It's huge. It's huge.
It's huge to us. Compared to what the music industry is like today, are you grateful that Triumph were writing, recording, and performing in an era, rather, that was full of great rock and roll music?
Oh yeah, that's. I think that was as much as the late '60s. With Zeppelin and Purple and Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix. As much as they were such an integral part of me growing up, I think that right through to the mid '80s, the rock and roll circuses that were on the road were incredible. And the thing is, we're like baseball teams. You kept coming around every spring. There's, and I think that was one of the keys. Radio was great. The bands were great. The music was great. The concert experience was great. And it's today. I don't know. I feel like my father.
Well, it's been 45 years since you guys started making music together, and we're just curious, will there be any sightings of you on stage maybe next year as a 3-piece or larger?
Oh, I wouldn't say no, but I wouldn't say yes either. There's no specific plan in place. But you never say never. You just don't know. There might be something that we might do, but I don't think we could actually do a whole tour. That would be after our experience, at the fan event, doing 3 songs, and we were totally wasted after 3 songs. We played, but they weren't short songs, mind you. But we were all ached. We ached, and we're all sweated up and hurt.
That's a sweet pain, though.
I could see us doing it. I could have said no. Yeah, you're right.
Mike, we wish you the best of luck with the re-release of Triumph Classics, and the best of luck with all your future endeavors. We look forward to the upcoming documentary. We want you to have happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, all right?
Yeah, same right back to you guys and your listeners. Have a great new year and the best of holidays to you, and thanks for your time.
Well, this has really been a great year for Triumph and Triumph fans.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're finally starting to get more recognition these days.
Long overdue. Long overdue for them.
And I talk to a lot of my musician buddies, and they all say, oh, yeah, when I was growing up, that Triumph.
Yeah, exactly. They just had to live in a very long shadow that was cast by Rush.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy what we do on this podcast, it's called Barstool Rockers. Please consider giving us a favorable rating over at the Apple Podcast platform or Spotify, or on the iHeartRadio app, too, or wherever you're listening to us. Every time somebody gives us a good review, it helps new listeners find the show. And we do want to, of course, thank our good friends Anastasia Vishnevsky, who does our theme music, and Joe Kelly, whose voice has a zip code of its own. If you know somebody who may enjoy this podcast, please share it with them, as we don't have a big marketing budget. We have whatever lint we find in our pockets and in our couches. So even though we're on all these big platforms, we ain't got nothing. You don't hear advertisers on this podcast because we don't make money on it.
We do it for the passion, the love of the music.
For more info, you can email us barstoolrockers@gmail.com. You can check out our page, barstoolrockers.com. It's on Facebook. We're on Twitter and all those fun things. And as always, thank you for listening.
Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters, and this is 2020.